So to get started, you're going to use the 24 peg loom. Grab your body color. For me, it's going to be pink because I'm just about out of white, so we're going to go cotton candy cow today. To do your slip knot, you're going to take your 2 fingers, wrap the yarn around, and go underneath from the back, pull through, hold on to this tail, and tighten. Then you're going to grab the working yarn after putting it on the anchor peg and tighten that way. We're going to start with the drawstring cast on. So you're going to go behind peg 1, bring it up in front of peg 2, behind peg 3, in front of peg 4, and back and forth like that all the way around. When you get to the end, you're going to be in front of peg 24, and you're going to take it behind peg 1 again, in front of peg 2, and you're going to lay it across these pegs, and then knit off everywhere that has a loop on it. So that's going to be peg 2, there's nothing on 3, there's a loop on peg 4, and so on. When you get up to peg 24, that's your cast on done. And for row 1, you're going to notice that there's still nothing on that first peg. So for the first row, for the first peg, you're just going to lay it across and then knit over on peg 2. Now there's going to be a loop on it, so that's not going to be an issue anymore. And we're just going to do the U-wrap knit for the entire project. So half wrap your peg and knit over. And we're going to do that all the way around. And for the head, it's going to be 20 rows. So knit your 20 rows and we'll be right back. Okay, once you got your 20 rows done, we're going to do the drawstring cast off. So you're going to take your yarn, wrap it around the loom once and another little bit because we're going to use this to sew it to the body. Push your loops down about halfway. You're going to take your yarn, half wrap your peg, knit off, and then pull through. Half wrap your peg, knit off just like you've been doing, but then pull through. And we're going to do that all the way around. You may have noticed that I left the slip knot on the anchor peg till last. I usually do that. Because the pieces that I make are so small, you see that it's only about 1 inch wide, 1.5 inches. And because the cast on is drawstring anyway, it doesn't actually matter if you take the yarn off the anchor peg. If you're more comfortable taking it off after the first couple rows, you can do that, but it's not going to hurt your project if you don't. So we're going to, once it's off the loom, you're going to have to stretch the stitches. So just grab it by either side and pull. I usually like to go around a second time. Now you're going to take your cast on, which is going to be your short one, and pull that, and hopefully it works. Come on, man. There we go. Okay, we're good. So you're going to pull on that drawstring. If you need to manually work it around a bit, that's fine. Get that nice and tight. Thread your needle. We're going to put this down through the center. And you're going to find that hole. Take your needle in on the opposite side from where your yarn is. So it's coming out on this side. The hole's right here. You can't see it. And go in on the opposite side, come up where the yarn is, and tighten that. And then go on the other two sides. So we just did north and south. We're going to do east and west. Leave a loop. Put your needle on the opposite side of that loop. Pull up through. Do it twice if you want it to be extra secure. And pull that tight. Now, he's going to need some eyes. Come here, eyes. So I've gone with safety eyes, and I'm going to use 12 millimeters. They're a bit close together. Okay. Now you can stuff your cast-on tail inside. And grab some stuffing for the head. Looks like a lot, but it'll probably fit. Now the pattern says to pull the cast off tail and secure it. You can do that, or you can leave it open a little bit and leave the body open a little bit to make it easier to sew together. So the head is done for now. Next is the horns. So you're going to need your 8-peg loom and some worsted weight yarn in a color that matches the color that you're going to be using for your accent pieces. The hooves, the horns, the ears, the nose. So we're going to do the slip knot. It's probably going to be easier to see with the worsted weight yarn. Wrap it around your 2 fingers, push it in through the back, hold this tail, and then put it on your anchor peg. Every piece that we make today for this cow is going to be drawstring cast on and drawstring cast off. So you go behind the first peg, in front of the second peg, behind the third peg, and most importantly behind the first peg again. So for row 1, for peg 1, remember there's nothing on that first peg, so we're just going to lay it across and knit over on peg 2. And every piece is just going to be U-wrap, so half wrap the peg and knit off. Half wrap the peg and knit off. And this horn is going to be 5 rows. So there's your row 1. These are only going to take you a minute. Okay, once you got your 5 rows done, we're going to do the drawstring cast off. You're going to wrap it twice and an extra little bit to leave a long tail for sewing it on. And remember, it is half wrap your peg, knit off, and pull through. Okay. Get off. So it's going to be a little more difficult for these small pieces, but stretch your stitches. Just be gentle. Pull the cast on tail. And you don't have to worry about breaking it with worsted weight. Unless you're really strong, I guess. Needle. Put it in through the middle. Find the opposite side. Pull that tight. Go through the other 2 sides. There we go. And because it's so tiny, we're just going to stuff it with the cast on tail. And that'll be good enough. So then we can sew on as we go. So grab your head. Let's see, we're gonna want it right about here. If you have pins or one of those amigurumi sticks, this would be a good chance to use them. I don't have that, so I'm just gonna hold it in place as best I can. And you're gonna want to come up through the second loop. I'll bring it up closer. So not the first loop, which is your cast off. You're gonna want to go through the second loop. That'll help keep it more secure. Okay, once you've got it all sewn on, you can go down into the next stitch over, or down here, or just somewhere really close to where the tail is, and just send it through the bottom. Or if you've tied this up and secured it, send it through anywhere. It doesn't really matter. You can just cut the tail then, but I'm just gonna stuff it inside. Okay, that's horn number 1. Make a second one and sew it on, and then next will be the ears. Okay, once you have the horns done and sewed on, next we're going to work on the ears. So you're going to take your secondary color, and it's going to be the same thing as the horns, just with fluffy yarn. So you're going to do your drawstring cast on, knit 5 rows, drawstring cast off. So once you get the ear off the loom, you're going to do the same thing, stretch your stitches. Don't forget to wrap the loom twice instead of just the regular one time to get a long tail. You're going to take the cast on tail and tighten it. Thread your needle. We're going to go into the inside. Make a knot just like before. And then, since this isn't going to be closed, we're gonna cut that yarn. So if you want to make it extra secure, make another knot. But since this is fluffy yarn, I don't have to cut it very close, because you can't even see that. So we're going to pull the cast off tail just a tiny bit, straighten up the stitches, so that this is going to look like a little bowl. So then thread your cast off tail, grab your head, and we want the ear to sit in the middle of the side and just below the horn, and we want it to be just a little floppy so that it hangs down a bit. So we're going to go in under where you want your first stitch to be. We're going to sew into the head, and that'll keep that in place. And then you're going to sew through the ear, go back in for a couple stitches in the head, go in through the ear, and you're just doing 3 or 4 passes going down this way towards the bottom till you're satisfied with how the ear is sitting. Now I think mine's a little bit low, so I think I'm going to take it back out again. So just tug on it till you see that one bit of yarn coming through. Tug on it again, and you can just take those out one at a time till you can pull the rest out. I'm going to try again. Just a little bit higher. Okay, that's a bit better. And when you're ready to be finished, you're going to have your yarn coming out of somewhere. You're going to put it in as if you were going to do the next stitch, but leave a loop there. Going into the same spot. And same as before, we're going to make 2 passes in this to make it extra secure. And then just tighten it as much as you can. Then put that needle in through in the same spot as the knot. Pull it nice and tight to get that knot to go on the inside. And then you can just stuff this in here or cut it depending on if your head is left open or not. And he's got one ear. So you're going to put the other ear on, and then the nose is going to be the exact same thing. It's just going to be your drawstring cast on, but 4 rows instead of 5, drawstring cast off, and that one missing row is going to help keep it a little bit more flat so that his nose isn't like sticking off too far. So I'll see you when you get to the nose. So when you get the nose off the loom with your extra long tail, when you pull the cast on tail, you're going to notice that it's going to be pretty flat instead of curved. That's fine. We want it to be a little bit flat. We don't want his nose to be too far out from his face. And you can just stuff the cast on tail inside while you're sewing it on, or you can cut it. It's up to you. There we go. I'm gonna stuff mine inside, I think. Okay, so we're going to pull the cast off tail just a bit to give it a little bit of shape. Whichever one of these is the longest. Just the cast off tail. Now, see, just under the eyes and right in the middle. We're going to grab a stitch or 2 of the pink and a stitch or 2 of the blue at a time. Not too much, or else it'll be bunchy on the edges. Make sure you're rearranging it if you need to every pass or two, because it does like to move. Is that a hair? Okay, when you get almost all the way around, if you've chosen to leave your cast on tail for stuffing, you can stuff it in now. If you do it in the beginning, it'll make it a little more difficult to sew. But you can stuff it in now. You can add a little bit of stuffing if you want his nose to be bigger, but we do want it kind of flat. And then it should just be another couple stitches. Yikes. Alright, now that is the head all done. He's looking pretty adorable. So next we're going to start on the body. So grab your 24 peg and you're going to draw string, cast on just pegs 1 to 12 in the hoof color. So for me that's going to be blue. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You're going to wrap it around and then go in front of the rest of the pegs. When you get back to peg 1, you're going to just wrap it and knit off on peg 2. That'll anchor your yarn in place. So now what you want to do is knit rows 1 to 4 just in U-wrap knit. So you're just knitting flat back and forth for 4 rows. Once you got your 4 rows done, you're going to snip your hoof color, leave a couple inches, and then grab your body color, and we're gonna leave, let's see, maybe wrap it around your loom almost all the way. You need a bit of a long tail so you can sew up the legs. Make a slip knot, stick it onto the 24th peg, tighten it, and now tie those 2 tails together. Make sure you get it nice and tight. Then while holding the tails, you're going to take that slip knot off and then pull on the new working yarn, and that'll pull that knot out. Then you're going to have your body color as your working yarn now, and you're going to continue knitting. So you had 4 rows, and now you're going to go from rows 5 to 10 in your body color. Still always in U-wrap knit. Up to row 10. Okay, when you get 10 rows done, you're going to snip the yarn, take the yarn off the anchor peg, and grab your hoof color, make a new slip knot, and do the exact same thing on the other side. So you're going to now knit drawstring cast on pegs 24 to 13, knit 4 rows, switch to the body color, and then knit rows 5 to 10 in the body color. Don't forget to leave a long tail when you add the body color. Once you got your 10 rows done on the other side and you're back to peg 24, you're going to take the tail that you cut the working yarn from on the first half, tie it to your new working yarn, and then just continue knitting now in the round. Still U-wrap, just now in the round. So you're gonna go, that was row 10 for both halves, so this is gonna be row 11, and you're gonna go from row 11 up to 25. That's 15 more rows if it's easier that way. You're gonna do 15 rows of knitting just the body color in the round. When you get all of your 25 rows done, 15 more, 25 total, you're going to wrap your loom just once and snip it and do your drawstring cast off. Once it's free of the loom, you can stretch your stitches. Where the legs are, there's going to be a gap like this. That's fine, we're sewing that up. You're going to flip this inside out, bring all your tails with you. Now, find your cast on tails in your hoof color, and you're going to use that to sew up just the hoof color. Come on. Should only be 3 or 4 stitches. Do one more. Make sure that's nice and tight. And then tie it to the hoof color tail that should be right about where you stopped sewing. If they're in your way, you can certainly trim these tails. Do not trim the body color ones, you need those. but you could certainly snip that off, make it a bit easier for tying. Now it's not going to be in your way. So now you're going to take the body color and start sewing up the leg. Do another stitch. Leave that in the middle. Go to your other side. Right. And we do it this way with the two different colors because there's a good chance, no matter how good you are at sewing, that if you have the darker color for the hoof and you use the original cast on tail that's perfectly long enough to sew up these legs, that it's going to show on the lighter color when you flip it back right side out. Okay, once you're satisfied with that, take those two body color tails that you were using to sew, tie them together. I did make this one a little bit too long, but it's better to have it too long than too short for sure. I'm gonna flip it back right side out. Everything's good. And then we're just gonna stuff these tails down into a leg. This one seems like it wants to be on this side. And you got a little pair of pants. And we're gonna stuff it. Alright, once you're satisfied with how that looks, you can stuff the tail inside. Grab your head and start sewing that on. Now, my tail happens to be on the left. Oops. So I'm going to sew across the front first, and you're just going to catch a couple of stitches here on the body, a couple of stitches on the head. Try and get them pretty close together. And I find that sewing the head on, it has a tendency when you're finished to be slightly tilted to the side. So keep an eye on where your head is situated at all times. This is another part where having pins or those amigurumi sticks would really come in handy. If you've got a couple of knitting needles, I think that would probably help. But just sew all the way around, and when you're finished, we'll do the arms and sew them on, and then we'll be done. When you're done sewing, he looks a little lopsided. That's okay, it makes him cute. When you're done sewing, you can make your knot and then stick your needle in, come out anywhere. Make sure you pull it tight. Snip it, and then give a little squeeze, and he's all good. So for the arms, you're gonna go back to the 8 peg. Let's see, where is... You're gonna grab your hoof color again, drawstring cast on as always, and this time you're going to be doing 3 rows of your hoof color. Cut the hoof color, tie on the body color like we did before. You don't have to leave a long tail this time. And then finish off 10 rows. So 3 rows, rows 1, 2, and 3 are going to be in hoof color, and then rows 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are going to be in the body color. Then you're going to do your drawstring cast off. Make sure you wrap the loom twice to leave a long tail for sewing. Once you get it off the loom, you're going to stick those tails in through the middle, grab the cast on tail and tighten it. Make your knot just like before. I'm going to bring it to the inside. Turn it right side out. Make sure it's nice and stretched. Stuff all those tails inside. Grab another little bit of stuffing. edges a bit more. And instead of closing it by pulling the drawstring, we're just going to use the drawstring to shape it a bit so that the edges are straight. Not flared out, and then we're going to hold it closed and sew it closed flat. Now this flat piece is going to go right along this here next to the neck, and you're just going to do, again, maybe 4 or 5 stitches. Okay, and then on the last one, I'm going to pull the tail through, find out what side this is on, wrap it twice, and pull tight. Okay, that's one arm. Second one is the exact same thing. Alright, once you get the second arm done, he is all finished. Thanks for watching.